Hi everyone, this is Andrew at Crown Academy of English. Today's lesson is called Show, Don't Tell. So these are some creative writing tips. So here is an example of telling. Mark hated his job and his colleagues. So this is an example of telling. And so telling is where the author is explicitly telling the reader something about Mark's character. Okay, so we're telling the reader that a certain characteristic about Mark. And of course, the reader understands, but doesn't really feel involved in the story. The reader doesn't experience anything, doesn't have a connection with the story, doesn't have a connection with Mark in particular. The reader is unable to visualize or imagine the story. When you read this, you're not in the story, you're not picturing it, you're not visualizing it. So let's now express this same idea through the technique of showing. Okay, so we're going to convert this into showing. So this is my example. It was Monday morning. Mark slumped into his chair, let out a sigh, and turned his computer on. He glanced at his watch. 9:20. Not bad, he said, under his breath, as he sipped his coffee while watching his first YouTube video of the day. Hey, Mark. He felt a firm hand on his left shoulder and looked up to see Tom staring back at him with his pathetic, cheesy grin. He was wearing a Harry Potter tie with matching cufflinks. What a tool. What do you want? Mark snapped. We've received the sales report and I need you to take a look at it before the meeting, Tom replied, before thrusting the report onto Mark's desk. Meeting? What meeting? Mark replied, in between yawning. Oh, you know, the sales meeting that we have held every Monday morning for the last 5 years. Idiot, Mark muttered. He grabbed the sales report, tossed it into the bin, and got up to go and get his second coffee of the day. So here we are showing the idea that Mark hates his work and hates his colleagues. And we can imagine and visualize the story. I don't know about you, but this is how I imagine Mark. Really, really frustrated at his desk, throwing the report into the bin and just absolutely really, really angry, infuriated at his work, at his own situation, and really, really disliking his job. But notice here that nowhere in the story have we said the word hate his colleagues or hates his job, because that would be telling. We are just simply showing the situation. We are giving proof and examples of his behavior that proves that he dislikes and hates his job and colleagues. Our readers are intelligent enough to understand and to come to that conclusion that he hates his job and he hates his colleagues. But the difference here is that we're in the story. The reader is in the story, can relate to Mark, is following the story in real time. It's much more exciting, it's much more interesting for the reader than simply telling the reader Mark hates his job and hates his colleagues. So it makes our writing, showing makes our writing much, much more interesting for the reader. It makes the reader really, really want to turn the pages and find out what happens next. So a quick summary. Let's compare telling with showing. Telling is a compressed version of events with few details. So we're compacting time down. We're summarizing maybe 20 minutes of action into 1 or 2 lines. Telling contains generalities. we're generalizing. And telling, we're expressing ideas. We're explicitly giving the idea to the reader, using adjectives, for example. And telling, this is very important, telling is in the language of us, the author. It's in the language of the author, and it's from outside the story, really. It's like a narration. Showing, on the other hand, is a full version of real-time events with lots of details. Okay, we're not missing anything out. That's the important thing here. Here we are skipping out lots of details, and showing, we're including all of the details. It's a full scene. Showing contains specifics, very specific information, like actions, dialogue, thoughts, and very detailed descriptions. Showing expresses experiences of what really happens, what the character and what all the characters are experiencing. And showing provides the proof that an idea is true. So in my previous example, we are providing the proof to the reader